Alright guys, I've been getting questions about the Galaxy Note 10 Plus here, so I wanted to go ahead and revisit this one for this mid 2024 here. Now, this is still a very good flagship, but I think that if you are in the States, then you definitely don't want to buy this phone because a lot of people are trying to buy these phones for SD card support. I think if you're gonna buy this phone, you really need to look at the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra, because if you really want SD card support, you can see the prices are extremely, well, not extremely, but they're pretty close. You can see 315 here and then 279 here, and I think eBay has the lowest price at 250, but I still think you pay an extra 50 bucks. I do think the Note 20 Ultra is going to be, just a slightly better option because it is still getting security updates, and then you also do have, a couple other features that are a little bit more modern feeling, I guess. Now the Note 10 Plus, if you're overseas and this phone is in your price bracket, and you're looking at it because you just want SD card support, maybe you want the flagship features, then this is still a very interesting phone to look at. Now, hardware wise, this phone is still a really great looking phone here. Just look at how amazing this phone still looks here in 2024. It's got the Aura Glow color. Design is just absolutely stunning here, and just very cool to look at. It's a kind of a thinner phone here in 2024 as well too, compared to the newer phones. It's not as heavy or as kind of bulky because the camera is not, poking out here. So it's one of those phones you can kind of like tap, you can kind of like type while flat, and it's not going to be like bouncing. But yeah, hardware wise still looks great. SD card support, of course, IP68, the stylus on here, and what's really cool is this one is blue here. But yeah, it still very much looks and feels very modern in 2024. It's a really nice looking phone. There's nothing really outdated about the Note's display besides a few minor things here. But overall, just looking at it today, it just looks absolutely fantastic. It's a beautiful panel, guys. So it's a 6.8 inch dynamic AMOLED display. It's full 1440p, and then it's 498 for the PPI. So it's a very sharp panel as well too. Really vibrant and nice colors on here. I think you could say the only things that I can tell that has aged is indirect sunlight. Obviously is not as bright as the newer phones, and then the lack of any type of high refresh rate on this phone as well too. It's just 60 hertz. While it is a very smooth 60 hertz, but yeah, you can definitely tell the difference from a phone with a higher refresh rate. But besides that, I have zero complaints. I mean, the screen is absolutely beautiful color wise. Samsung is just, they just do a fantastic job on the displays here. Also, what you may like or may not like is that the Note 10 Plus is a curved panel, so I think it gives the phone here a more premium look in my opinion. But again, a lot of people don't like it because the screen protector situation, harder to put on and stuff like that. But besides that, the display is still just a very high quality panel here. So let's get into it. Let's talk about this processors. This has been one of the most interesting things I like to come back to. This phone got its last update, Android 12, One UI 4. A lot of people say, Matt, how long are the apps going to be supported? Guys, the apps, basically almost all the apps still work on the Galaxy S9. Majority of apps still working on S8, stuff like that. So app support will be supported for a long time. It's just not getting security updates. But let's go ahead and get into it here. So I ran the Wildlife Extreme benchmark on here, and you can see our frame rate. You can also see temperature. So that's a really cool thing about the Note 10 Plus. This processor I do really like because it does not tend to get hot like a lot of phones do. You can see 34 Celsius to 35 Celsius. So this is just a very efficient chipset. Like I said, the 855 and the 865 are very efficient chipsets. I would say the 855 is a little bit more efficient. So when I say this phone really does not, heat up like crazy, doesn't have overheating problems, does a pretty good job with gaming performance as well too. Here are your Geekbench scores if you guys want to compare those. And I think that's right. That should be right. Sometimes you got to run Geekbench like multiple times to get it right, but that should be the right scores, and I'll take you guys into a game. The speakers on the Note 10 Plus actually still sound really great. Really good sound quality on here. Everything is crisp and clear on here. And I always forget to mention, I forgot when I was talking about the hardware, don't forget about this Bixby button. The reason I forget about it is because it's just not useful to me at all. Alright, so gaming performance on this phone is still pretty good for the most part. You can still play PUBG, of course, at HDR Extreme, so 60 frames. So I don't really have an issue with gaming performance on here. Now, the base on the Note 10 Plus, what I like about this phone when it came out was that you have micro SD card support, but the base is 256 gigs of internal storage, and then you also have 12 gigs of RAM. So this phone is just a multitasking beast. Rarely, like, I just don't have an issue with performance on here. That's something that I really liked about, what Samsung was doing. I feel like all flagship models should base be 12 gigs of RAM. But as you guys can see, gaming, no problem. No overheating. If it's hot outside and I'm recording with this phone, taking pictures, I don't get any overheating problems or anything like that. So I would say this is definitely, an excellent chip. The fingerprint scanner on here, it is a ultrasonic fingerprint scanner, so it works really well, so no issues with that. You can also take advantage of face unlock as well too. And as far as your additional features, you will find pretty much everything you'll find in something like a Galaxy S24 Ultra, besides the new Galaxy AI features and stuff like that. Alright, so let's talk about the cameras, guys. So the cameras have gotten much better on the newer phones, but I would say in direct sunlight, this phone still will take a pretty good shot. I did a like a day in a life with this phone as well too, and it did a fantastic job. Now the phone, it did struggle in like low light situations. I did notice it was just a little bit weaker for the most part in terms of giving you like not to say that it was bad, but you could kind of tell, lose a little bit of detail. It's not as sharp, not as a little bit grainy, but in good lighting, this phone still takes fantastic photos and videos. I can't really say that the pictures are bad because it can still give you a really good shot, really good colors, great dynamic range on here as well too. I was just impressed with how good the the photo quality was when I did take it with me. So I think this still takes excellent photos. I think the photos honestly speak for themselves, and that's pretty much any lens. Ultra wide, the telephoto lens on here does a pretty good job as well too. So I just think these are still fantastic cameras. Yes, are the newer Galaxy phones are going to give you better low light shots and overall just higher res, better photos. Yes, but this still gives you a really good shot. You still have your pro mode, pro video mode and stuff like that. It's still a very good phone for taking pictures. And lastly, battery life it's just okay on the Note. When I did take it on my day in a life thing, I find it hard to kind of kill the battery on here because I'm not really a heavy user. So I would say battery life is actually pretty decent if you're a light user, which means you're not really playing games, probably watching videos, texting, web browsing, stuff like that. Take a couple pictures, here and there. But if you're like a serious gamer, then yeah, you can really drain the battery on the Note pretty easily. It's got a 4300 milliamp hour battery, actually pretty decent charging speeds as well too, 45 watts, which is actually pretty nice. And then wireless and reverse wireless charging. So let me know what you guys think of the Note, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.